Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Sherianne and this is Brian.
That's me.
And this is Rowena Francis.
We're going to talk about some new and strange and unique topics today. How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. When my daughter, was younger, she used to have this fascination with comic book characters. You know what? Actually, I don't think that fascination ever ended. I think that even now, as she's gotten older, she's even more fascinated by comic book and superheroes and so forth. And but what was unique about it was I'm pretty good, with comic books. I've always loved them. As the Marvel movies came out over the years, I always got really fascinated by them. And it was a world that I think a lot of the world actually really enjoys. And so I started trying to figure back and piece together. I'm like, when did Violet really start to, develop this interest for, superheroes?
I feel like she always had it. Maybe.
But I think that I can pinpoint it to, probably about, like 8, maybe 7 years ago. Our kids, were learning how to play some Xbox games. And so we bought them, Lego games, the Lego and one of the ones we bought was Lego Marvel. And when we introduced Lego Marvel to them, my kids just loved it.
They did.
Yeah,
they played it all the time.
They played it all the time. They, they unlocked whatever it was, like all 155 characters and then all the different missions and add-ons. They just played it endlessly. And I remember as they went through that journey, they was just like they knew every character. They knew what they did. They started reading about them online. And all of a sudden, this fascination with like superheroes and so forth just exploded, and it's a unique experience if you have never really got into the world of Marvel or DC. I mean eventually she started even asking us for like her birthdays, like, can I have the encyclopedia for Marvel or the encyclopedia for DC? So now she's got like these monster books that just tell her everything there is about every superhero within those particular two universes.
Yep.
Yeah. Comic books even, they developed, like Superman. Do you guys know when Superman was created?
I don't know. 60s?
Nope. Try again.
30s.
30s. Oh.
Okay, I cheated. I looked at the sheet.
Oh. 1938 was the beginning of Superman. Even Batman came across in 1939.
Wow.
Yes. So,
we used to watch Batman. My brother loved Batman. We'd come home from school and we would turn on, I think it was from the 1960s.
Yeah, I think it was the 60s.
Or it'd be like, pow, bam.
Yeah, and that was where, that old shark repellent thing came in too. It was like, get the shark repellent, Batman! Or, Robin, and then Robin would go and then he'd get the shark repellent, and, everyone was always wondering, like, what's shark repellent? Well, I don't know. Batman actually used to use it back in the day, so that is where it all came from. But, it's so interesting because it said all of this stuff regarding superhumans and the supernatural stuff, it didn't just, stem from just comic books. It was all through the movies, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had werewolves, vampires, all kinds of creative, different elements of witches and warlocks and all of these, strange aliens and, whatever you want to call monsters of all kinds. They've been around, for centuries. Like, a long, long time ago. I mean, even think about Dracula. Dracula, when Dracula was written? 1897. That's your history moment for today. That's when Dracula is. I mean, nowadays, you can't turn on like, a TV show or a movie without having a vampire.
Everybody knows the name Dracula, right?
Dracula, Count Dracula.
One of the shows I used to like was
wasn't there a TV show or something that people used to like that had a lot of vampires in it? Yeah, I think there was. I can't remember. I never watched it. It was like all the romantic things.
Twilight.
Oh, Twilight. Yes, Twilight.
I had to actually sit here and think for a second because I'm like, wait, what's the name of that movie?
But then, but you had all the Alfred Hitchcock movies. I mean, if you were, 1950s, I think the Alfred Hitchcock had all kinds of strange, unique things. My dad's favorite back, even in the 60s, he used to always be freaked out by Rosemary's Baby.
Ugh, I never even saw it. I just heard about it. Ugh, creepy.
Yeah, and I mean they had. So I mean, as we went through, I mean, in media and arts and so forth, all these different things. I mean, they had Teen Wolf. Don't forget, in the '80s with Michael J. Fox, The Exorcist. But they even had some nice ones. I mean, what was it with Michael Landon?
Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. How
That was
many
a
of
good
you
one.
watched Highway to Heaven?
We used to watch me and my sister, Highway to Heaven and Touched by an Angel.
Touched by an Angel.
Yeah.
Both of them kind of like have a feel to me, almost like Little House on the Prairie or something.
We also used to watch Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, I can't say that either one of these were like, my most famous shows that I used to watch, but
We should buy Little House on the Prairie.
But people liked them. No.
People do like
Hey,
them.
listen, we're going to stay away from Little House on the Prairie today. But there was Touched by an Angel and whatnot. So these were popular shows. But then it really like started to explode in the 90s. What happened in the 90s? You had the X-Files that came out. You had Charmed. You had all these, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was another big one. Nowadays, and then you had like Supernatural.
You had Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Harry Potter.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Obviously, the big, Twilight series. So it was just, it was interesting, right? Now that's just movies. You get into the world of video games and board games. I mean, they got Magic the Gathering. They had Doom, Diablo. I mean, the list goes just Resident Evil. Like there is countless and countless and countless video games that are just integrated with werewolves and vampires and witches and warlocks and magic and It's just this whole world. Like, I think we've always been fascinated by the supernatural. I think that's really what it comes down to.
It's true. I think... Sorry, phone's ringing. Okay, we'll ignore the phone for a second. We want to talk about the supernatural. We're going to kind of do a few videos this next week or so, and we just want to talk a little bit about the supernatural. I know a while ago we had done a sermon on this, but there's so much fascination with the supernatural realm and with just things that are out of this world. And the truth of the matter is that the supernatural is very real.
It's a very real place.
It is, and it's even more real than the world that we live in. And so I think it's important that we understand what's going on around us and in the world around us. So
I think you're full of it. I don't think there's anything really like the supernatural.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, really, you're going to tell me that, like werewolves and vampires and all of this stuff are real entities in our world?
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
But yes, necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
So I don't think there's any such thing as vampires and stuff like that, right?
Well,
people who come back from the dead. But
ghosts!
But I do think that there is a very real spiritual world that's happening around us. There's angels and demons and principalities and powers and, all these different things that take place in the world around us. And everything that we do in this world is also paralleled in the spiritual realm.
I'm kind of fascinated, I think, now with Ghost all of a sudden. They had another movie, Ghostbusters!
Where you gonna go?
Yeah, see? Ghostbusters, right?
Okay,
And the original ones were way better, I'm sure, than the modern versions, nonetheless.
Anyways, the supernatural basically means anything that is of or pertaining to anything outside of the tangible world that we live in. And the supernatural realm is very real. Now, I know the world kind of throws out there all of these ideas of what is contained in the supernatural.
The paranormal,
all these kinds of things, aliens, all that stuff.
Area 53.
Yeah, so we want to kind of just talk a little bit about that over the next course of a few videos. We're going to kind of do some 10-minute little snippets of these and stuff like that. But we want to explore angels and demons and God, the devil, mankind.
Where they came from.
Like,
what do they do?
How did they even get here? How do they even exist?
How do they operate? What's the purpose of them? And why? And what do we actually know that we can actually put from a foundational level about these particular entities? Because God's real and the devil's real and angels are real and demons are real. But the reality is what do we really know about them, and what is the foundation of truth related to them?
How do they pertain to us, and what does it even matter if we know about them or not?
Yeah.
So we want to answer all these questions. We want to kind of get into conversation about this. So stay tuned. We are going to be back here again.
We're going to get started on this, and by the way, we're going to take you on a journey that's going to start you right back at the very beginning. We are going to start in good old-fashioned Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created. And then it goes into Genesis number 1, number 2. But I'm not even going to get there today. I'm just going to leave that for you. But we will be starting with Genesis 1:1 and 1:2.
That's right.
Next, in our next video. Because I told you, when I say we're starting right at the beginning, we're starting right in the very beginning.
We're going back to the beginning. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys soon. And with that, have a great day.
All right.